I was told this belongs here. They got what they asked for lol. Here's 33% of your website. You're welcome. I had a trophy wife client who had a frozen yogurt business paid for by her husband. They contacted me and asked me to design and build a new website for her business. I gave them a quote and they asked if they could pay in 3 installments. After we all agreed to the terms, I had written approval and I received my 33% deposit. I got cracking. We had regular check-ins and they were happy with the progress until one day they just went quiet. They were already behind on the second payment and I was growing impatient. I was done with the site and just needed final approval and payment before launching it, but I couldn't get hold of either of them. I eventually got hold of the lady at her day job after weeks of being ghosted. She calmly told me that they found someone cheaper and that they won't be paying the remaining 66%. Even though the project was complete and all their feedback was addressed. She told me that I could just give her 33% the files and move on with my life. I made it clear that websites don't really work if you only upload 33% of the files. Sarcastically. At which point she hung up the phone. I still had their FTP details for their brand domain that housed their current old website, so I decided to take revenge. I created a page with an animated fake loading bar that was stuck at 33%. Underneath the loading bar was the message: "This company does not pay their suppliers." They decided to pay only a third of the price, so now they have only a third of a website. I went as far as to download the website files, split it up in roughly 3 portions, file size, and upload a zip folder containing a third of the files to the FTP folder. This way I actually gave them the 33% they paid for and I could show the file size to prove it. I also permanently deleted the old site's files from the folder so they couldn't restore from a backup. Not that they'd have a clue how to do that. They threatened to sue me. I'm still waiting. One of my old friends would plow snow and lay salt during the winter. He had a customer stiff him. And the guy said, "There's nothing you can do about it." Quote, "Wrong answer." For the next 2 years my buddy took great enjoyment of plowing that guy's neighborhood for free, and would put every bit of the snow in front of his house, driveway, sidewalk, front yard, as much as he could pile there. Then some days when he was feeling particularly assholish, if it was cold enough, he would bring 2 5-gallons of water with him, and pour it on top of the snow so it would get nice and crunchy. Anyone living in the Midwest knows just how much fun it is to move snow that is mostly compressed ice from the plows. After 2 years of this, the guy gave up and said, "Okay, I'll pay you double what I owed you if you'll just please stop." He relented and took the cash, but not before commenting, "Turns out there is something I can do about you not paying." Quote, "I aspire to that level of petty assholeness." They don't want to pay for a website but would be willing to pay for a lawyer to sue lol. Okay. One thing I've learned is that anyone who threatens to sue via media that is not a letter from a lawyer is not going to sue. Always reintroduce people to the cost of their own assholery. Oh, this one is saucy. Nice. Did they ever contact you afterwards, or do you know what ended up happening to their site? Real power move would have been to put all the site's files into one zip. Then use a file splitting tool to give them 33% of that one file. Well done. Fuck people who stiff their workers. Damn, that was crafty. Very nice. That lady is a straight-up douche. But the erasing of old files could have gotten you in trouble. I feel like I read this somewhere before. I hope you sleep good. I sure would. The email would be the only thing you would need to defend yourself if they did sue you. They gave you the terms. In fact, the judge would probably rule that they need to pay you in full for wasting the judge's time. There are times that being your own boss is most delightful. Calling a terrible client to account? This is one of those times. I read an old story about a bricklayer who specialized in chimneys. If he was worried about not getting paid in full, he'd mortar in a clear piece of glass between bricks about halfway up the chimney. Wouldn't show from outside. Would show daylight if you looked up from the fireplace but completely blocked airflow. Sometimes he got fully paid when the chimney was finished. Sometimes they tried to stiff him, only to call him back after they used the fireplace the first time and got a house full of smoke. Once he was fully paid. Either way, he'd drop half a brick down the chimney to fix it. I would have cut every file into a third of its original size. The index HTML keeps the opening less than HTML and less than head and some of less than body. Every .jpg that is still referenced in the now partial HTML will load and render to a third. They threatened to sue me. I'm still waiting. Why didn't you sue them? If they signed a contract and you did the work, take them to court. Word of advice from a veteran. Don't get into spats like this. Just send them the bill and the summons to small claims court. They violated the contract and deprived you of your expected earnings. I'm not an IT guy, but isn't the contract that they signed binding? Could you have took them to court when you were done with website but they hadn't paid up? I also permanently deleted the old site's files from the folder so they couldn't restore from a backup. The sensible IT guy in me thinks this is where you lose the moral high ground. It's one thing refusing to give them the completed work, but it's another thing entirely to actively damage their existing stuff. Different circumstance, but when we were first in business 40 years ago, we had a customer who bounced a check for a patio door. After waiting weeks, my husband went back to the house with a cop. They did this back then, and pulled the door out. I believe he put plastic in the opening, but we did take the door.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.